365. Quotes of Clarity. Written by Hezekiah L. Hiake Book Collection. Copyright 2016 by Trinity eBooks LLC. All rights reserved under the Pan-American and International Copyright Conventions. No part of this book may be reproduced in whole or in part, scanned, photocopied, recorded, distributed in any printed or electronic form, or reproduced in any manner whatsoever, or by any information storage and retrieval system now or hereafter invented, without express written permission of the publisher. For more information, email trinitybooks.com. The scanning, uploading, and distribution of this book via the internet or via any other means without permission of the publisher is illegal and punishable by law. Please support authors' rights, and do not participate in or encourage piracy of copyrighted materials. This publication is protected under U.S. Copyright Act 1976 and all other applicable international, federal, state, and local laws, and all rights reserved. You may give or sell this book to someone else, but not copies of its content. Please note that much of this publication is based on personal experience and anecdotal evidence, although the authors and publisher have made every reasonable attempt to achieve complete accuracy of the content. In the book, they assume no responsibility for errors or omissions. Also, you should use this information as you see fit, and at your own risk. Your particular situation does not match, and you should adjust your use of the recommendations and information accordingly. Any trademarks, product names, or named features assumed to be property of their representatives, owners, and used for only reference. There are no filed endorsements if we use some of these terms. Disclosure: the content of this book are intended for general information purposes only. Information contained in the document is not intended to be substituted for legal advice or to provide legal guidance of any kind whatsoever. For more information, visit trinitybooks.com. Preface. From acute to minute, words carry a statement, a meaning. This is not meant to be a collection of things to say, more so things to think about. I am a person of many thoughts, as are you. It's my goal that the ripple effect grows larger with you intent. Speaking your truths as they are studied and learned. Mind you, some of these quotes will hit home with you and some will falter. Realizing all that I say here is for your thoughts, not necessarily for your life. For you live my words in your existence. You could fall short of accomplishing your true level of peace of mind. When your children ask, you would say it's funny you ask because I have just a quote. Besides, there is no better way to put it than your own. 1. Life is a privilege, so use it wisely. 2. No one was put on this earth to please one's neighbor, so work on oneself and others will be pleased as well. 3. Acceptance comes in many forms. When seeking it, keep in mind who you are. 4. It's very easy to be successful at the shallow end of things, so when in comfort, go deeper and your level of success will grow. 5. Stop thinking you don't know what you're doing in life because you've been doing what you're good at your whole life. 6. It's true we don't know most of what others think, do, or say in our absence or our presence. Therefore, instead of thinking so much, ask the questions. 7. It's of little importance what people say or do when it comes to you. What matters is your intentions matching your words that complement your actions. Integrity. 8. Some see hesitation as fearful or as skeptical behavior, yet it's one of the strongest actions known in positions of power. 9. If you don't know what you want, ask yourself the question and the answer will follow. 10. When you follow your heart, the job is never done. When following your head, there will always be more tasks, but when following in others' footsteps, one will always fall short. 11. Though people come in all forms, it's only extensions of you that you see, so when you dislike them, ask yourself, what do I see? 12. They say with great risk comes great responsibility. In addition to that, with responsibility comes awesome respect. Pure, clear, and often double-sided. 13. The real purpose for books is to trick your mind into thinking its own thoughts. 14. What you know is how the world will know to pay you. Hence the facts know your craft as well as your comforts. Neither one comes with a pamphlet. 15. Although it may seem at times that it takes a million men to change a pattern, when in truth all it takes is one that had enough. 16. Some of the most important tasks in life only take a moment's time. 17. If, wish, try, hope, but, and maybe are all words that make personal success almost impossible to achieve, and therefore progress less tangible. 18. Pain evolves to knowledge, as struggle evolves to resilience, and knowing that every step made is a stride towards excellence. 19. Every wrong has a good and bad side, every right has its rewards and its sacrifices, every good has its downsides and every bad has its upsides. So when you decide what box you want to step in, remember to weigh your options. 20. Kids grow up pitching to understand the external things just to grow up to pay to remember the internal things that were never gone. 21. It's human nature to long for what one does not have, it's inhumane to think that one should have nothing at all. 22. Finding a belief system could prove to be unnecessary, for you were born with one. Yet seeking like minds is only noble. 23. There is no such thing as a lost individual, just a malnourished relationship with little to respond to. 24. Watch what you say, for it is all true soon as it rolls off your tongue. 25. A wish is no different from a prayer, for as soon as it is spoken it is so. 26. The only things you don't know about when it comes to self are the questions that are not asked. 27. Although words are easily misunderstood, it's in the expressions that one finds reason. 28. To attain external success one must first attain personal success or the pleasures will be short-lived even if success in business thrives. 29. Regardless of where you are in your journey, never stop seeking. It's in the journey that you will find wisdom of self. 30. With enthusiasm as you find it, learn to direct it, for enthusiasm is mind, body, and knowledge in unison. 31. Keep opinions to yourself. Instead introduce facts that back up your theory. 32. Trying to be understood is a waiting man's game, yet to walk in one's own light is understanding in its true form. 33. Don't just stand around waiting for the change you want to see. For the one who shows up will be mediocre in comparison to you. 34. What does it mean to stop when motion is inevitable? It means calm your mind and choose your motion. In turn stopping that action that caused the emotion. 35. To judge someone is to assume that you understand the very makeup that created their circumstances. 36. Don't complain about a life you created, for it was you who accepted the initial actions as your own, in turn condoning the situation. 37. Business-wise is finding oneself in a powerful position by way of knowledge-based fundamentals. 38. When you breathe you relax, when you relax you regain. 39. The most successful people are themselves in their own right. It's when success is done for others that failure is almost promised. 40. The goal to self-control is acknowledging oneself in true form, and then moving through life consistently. 41. It's about raising them as they are, then giving positive reinforcements to whom they've become and backing up whatever they believe in as an adult. Support. 42. It's in consistency that you'll find peace and clarity. 43. Peace be still, keep breathing, for in those moments clarity comes with ease. 44. Whether or not he was in fact the originator of these ideologies does not really matter, what's important is their impact on the current audience with profound thought and gesture. 45. Science and history have both conjoining and opposing theories, so what good is it to be stagnant in passing moments? 46. What is the difference between a passionate woman and a crazy woman? Nothing. 47. Losing and quitting are two different things. In losing there's opportunity, in quitting options become null and void. 48. The one who waits to be better tomorrow never respects the possibilities of today. For tomorrow and today bear the same gift. 49. Where there are lots of people there are prices to be paid. 50. Knowing others is intelligent, knowing oneself is true wisdom. 51. To overcome one's ego is a feat in itself. To maintain composure when doing such things is a monster all its own. 52. Suffering ends by detaching oneself from craving and attachment. 53. Believe nothing no matter where you read it, or who says it unless it agrees with who you are already. 54. If you're consistently thinking about things you used to have, your presence should come as no surprise because the fact is time spent in history is exactly that. 55. If you are consistently thinking about things you don't have, you are working at a deficit. An uphill battle lost even before the ball moves. 56. Behind every gift or offering there is an expectation of reciprocity in one way or another. 57. Love is not a prerequisite in matters of a relationship, respect is. And even that is earned. 58. Is justice only used when I win and humility when I lose? 59. To stand for self and no one else is a losing battle, to stand united amongst strangers is divine. 60. Where you stand and who you are two completely different extremes. Mixing the two can bring massive chaos. 61. When the masses experience extremes whether it be good or bad, their movement is minimal and the chance for fanatical gains are immense. 62. One of the most heinous crimes committed are the ones committed towards self-sabotage. 63. If you think about it every day, sleep in its memory, change yourself for it and know it better than you know yourself. In my mind your calling is closer than you think. 64. If change is necessary, be it small or large, be sure you initiate it. Otherwise you will likely follow to the beat of someone else's drum. 65. Time and freedom lines often cross unannounced when you give one away for the other. 66. If justice was meant for all people, who gave the right to judge it? 67. Ask yourself, when I love someone, is it me that I see in them that I love, or is it them I see in me? 68. I find that the true tragedy is one left alone for others to concur when it is you who seen it first. 69. Reintroducing herself daily will keep the vultures at bay, for it is when you assume they remember you that they presume in misdirection. 70. Triumphant individuals tend to know their fair share of loss, not just because they are resilient but because they had purpose. 71. Life will always bear gifts for all people. But until you see yourself in your entirety as the biggest gift, you'll probably notice that everyone else's gifts are bigger or better. 72. Deceit may be seen in the smallest of white lies, or in the most innocent of conversations. Remember to take nothing personal and take heed to all that is said, jokes aside. 73. Very seldom do I see a liar, for there is truth to everything to ever be told. The question is, are they talking to you or themselves? 74. People will show what type of person they are by the things that they do, more so by their suggestions to dismissal. 75. Attempt to thrive. Though all personal tragedy, although it may be tough, it's in these times that you either make your spirit meek or flourish. 76. Words will take you a long way, it's in your actions that you receive what you seek. 77. It's good to want to find the deeper meaning in things or people. Just be sure not to surpass the level so much so you lose sight of self. Beyond that, check deep within to ask yourself why first. 78. Be the first to pronounce your love towards self so when you receive it from others it's the same type of love or better. 79. Although the gut feeling is a mystery to me, it's one of the only things in life I take seriously. 80. If something is truly necessary it won't be gone for long. 81. There are tons of ways to acknowledge our peers, it's only just to ask them plainly, how they want to be treated. 82. If you have to struggle to make things work, ask yourself these questions: for what? For who? Why? And when did I start? By the end of this test you're either slapping them or yourself. 83. With all the things available in this world one should never be bored. And if you find yourself stagnant, study why, then act on it. 84. Don't dwell on what you don't have, focus on a healthy way to reassess your outlook. 85. Don't be sorry, Never be sorry, instead be mindful, thoughtful and thankful. 86. In business, learn to sustain success and profit will follow. Learn patience, flexibility, and humility. Soon consistency is in hand. Most importantly, wake up every day and be thankful, for your mind is not guaranteed to stay. 87. Pride and confidence can lead to cockiness, and if not monitored will lead to loneliness. 88. At times loved ones' feelings may not show on the surface. This does not mean that they are not there. Do yourself a favor and love yourself the way you want them to love you, so when and if they come around the feeling are in abundance. 89. Whatever you seek, look for it within first, and then see what types of things pop in your life and the people that follow. 90. To be deprived of love is the epitome of heartache, and with it comes strength. Do your best not to mistake strength for callous, or hatred for that matter. 91. There are millions of ways to say something but only one way to show it. 92. Spend time engaging in conversation. You'll get an idea of who you're talking to. Spend time doing as life asks and there will be no questions to ask. 93. Be wary about carrying baggage that doesn't belong to you. You are indeed lighting their load, but you are also crippling them. We are not given what we cannot handle. 94. People go through what they go through to be the people they have to be. 95. People without purpose are like structures without foundation. 96. Relationships do not cause strain, it's the thought processes of the individuals that are malnourished. 97. Language changes every 10 miles, so to say that one is understood is a complete lie. 98. Although pictures paint 1,000 words, speak your piece to be sure you speak the same language. 99. Never assume you know it all. If you must guess, guess that the job is never done. 100. When bringing light to a situation, it's best to come with facts and little emotion. Even though they are both correct in their delivery, there is a time and space for sanction, just for venting. 101. People will very rarely understand your emotional connection to the things you do, so focus on conveying only the necessary for productivity purposes, besides they will see the emotion from you. 102. Jump the gun in the matters of the gut, not your head, because your head has 4 jobs, your gut only has 1. 103. When you don't have enough and foundation at the time the job is to be done, voice your know-how and seek assistance. 104. Be wary about emotions in business because they really have little space, and if decisions were made that seeded from them, the business is then fogged. 105. Don't expect for your actions alone to speak for themselves when conveying a message. It's only in your speech that your actions hold weight. 106. If you don't claim it even when it is literally yours, loss is almost inevitable. 107. If you are not about to give something, don't expect it in return. 108. When teaching your truths to others, know that the same methods and serums apply to you, or what you teach will be seen as ill will. 109. Every race and every class of people have the same basic issues. The only difference is the way one addresses them. It would behoove you to address the individual, not the depiction of their people. 110. The world would have preconceived notions for every piece of you. It's your obligation to see yourself apart. Because you are in fact special. An individual. 111. When you are at a loss of something, something else will fill that void. Be sure that the supplement does the exact same thing. 112. Be sure to self-evaluate often, you'll be surprised at what you gather. At times it may be all you need to continue. 113. Don't ask for something unless you already have the way you are going to pay it back. 114. In business, spend minimal funds necessary to start the earning process. Then make it a point to never spend another dime of your own money ever again. 115. Delegate every task only when time is more important than the task at hand. 116. When jumping to conclusions is your method of communication, the only person losing on all levels is you. 117. Books are judged by their covers, there is no mistaking that. Be sure your presentation is up to par with the audience it's meant for. Most importantly, make sure it's authentic because your name is the only one they will see. 118. Every threshold you cross you will find obligation. So before you enter, know your role and its demands. 119. I found that in this world everyone serves a purpose in everyone else's life somehow. Don't be discouraged when you find you don't fit in. Most cases that's where you find a bit more of yourself. 120. Appearance goes further than skin deep, everything that makes you shows whether you know it or not. It's only when you are okay with that, that you see positive results. 121. Regardless of age you are teaching people how to interact with you, teaching people what you know, and even in your absence you're teaching them something about life. 122. When looking after someone, be mindful of yourself, you might just be teaching them what to look for. 123. When assessing self when it comes to raising children, ask yourself, how would I feel if he or she brought an ideal me home, flaws and all, to meet me? Would I be pleased and why? 124. When someone says they love you, it's not your responsibility to say it back. Remember, love is a privilege coming from you. 125. When the company you keep is more interested in parts of you, be it sexual or not, keep them at arm's distance. It's clearly an all-or-nothing situation on every occasion, family included. 126. When you find yourself in a situation where you're doing most of the work that is mutually between one or more individuals, voice your experience. If nothing changes, not even an acknowledgement, stop dead in your tracks. Obviously you're better on your own or with a group that will hear you. 127. In the matters of the heart, when you know something, share it with the other parties. Don't assume and just show your feelings. Speech is imperative. 128. Don't be naive, your heart will be broken by those close to you, everyone will lie at least once, and your feelings will be hurt over the term of a relationship. Just don't let it make you callous for the rest of the world to experience. 129. The business you start is the way you will be remembered. 130. I don't hold people responsible for my actions, I do hold them responsible for their decisions in regards to my life though. 131. People will know you, the question is, will they know you for who you are or who you're not? Presence is the key. 132. It's only when you think you know, that you know nothing at all. 133. Every breath can equate to a whirlwind, so mind what you say. It holds the same magnitude. 134. People have a tendency to reach out when it's necessary to them. Naturally. Make it a point to reach out when all is neutral, at time you'll find that you are in the eye of the storm. 135. Born into the world we are all pure at heart, until introduced to triumph and adversity. It's only when we seek clarity that we find comfort in our remaining purity. 136. We may have goals for people in our lives, we need them to succeed, it's true. Until we hold them high in whom they are without us. Our goals for them are superficial. Untrue. 137. Too often we will fill each other's needs by void, thinking that we are healing something. When in actuality the void is a virus growing in silence. 138. Words are often seen as venom, virus, and downfall if chosen correctly. So read, there are usually antidotes, cures, and victories that follow. 139. Write yourself a story when you cannot sleep, oftentimes you'll find little secrets nestled deep. 140. Intentions are so often misunderstood, so much so we lose our delivery or footing. Just remember to convey the point, then reiterate your understanding and to do as you say. 141. Every day we are given jobs that we were not born for, so pick and choose your battles. One day it will be you lighting your load and assistance will be at your aid. 142. If ever in your life you find you don't have the time to call and say I love you, just remember, there will come a time when your days run long because no one picks up the phone. 143. Regardless of how big or small, I find that the heart has the biggest stature of all. 144. Don't wait for a day to show your appreciation. When the thought arrives, something should be done. And that's one more person's heart you would have won. 145. In business there is always going to be a bottom line. Know that it's only at home that one finds foundation. 146. Talk only when you have something to say, walk only when you have somewhere to go. But think continuously, for it's the only true thing you'll ever know. 147. My job on this earth is unknown to me, so I'll do as I do and be as I am with my integrity. 148. Whenever you catch yourself complaining, think of these things: do I have a brain? Eyes, legs, a home, clothes to change, a choice of food? 149. If appearances is what you seek, you'll find it, just don't confuse appearance with presence. 150. Don't attempt to live vicariously through people or things, you'll find imbalances beyond satisfaction. 151. When you find yourself looking for something to say, say nothing. When you find yourself struggling to be you, do nothing. Seldom time a combination of the two will prove necessary. In some cases profound. 152. There is nothing complicated about life in general. So stop complicating it by talking negatively in light of it. The time you spend explaining and justifying it, you could have eliminated the source of the problem. 153. There are plenty of theories and beliefs out there, it's the ones that resonate inside of you that are true. 154. Inebriation does not only come in the form of a drug or substance. It can also be found when one introduces personal passions and expression in successful delivery. 155. Pictures are all meant to be enjoyed, and they are. Remember, it's done one step at a time. Just as any other work of art, like your life for example. 156. Success can sometimes be skewed. It's my belief that one is always successful, it's when you compare yourself to others that you supposedly fail. 157. It's one thing to have a role model, it's another to walk in another person's shadow. 158. You have a personal recorder in your head that plays what you do. I mean everything. Don't live by the record button, live by the play button. 159. When thinking about tasks in life as start and stop experiences, life changes. Truth be told, that process of thinking is exhausting. It's my belief that nothing in life stops, it just evolves. 160. Life has its points of interest, sure. Remember when it's not so fun, don't just hold your head high, look to the sky. 161. Don't rush to the inevitable, in due time you'll get your just rewards and heartaches. 162. On occasion we spend too much time figuring out how to figure case and point. There is nothing stop figure out but you in the equation. 163. Though you may want to be loved by all, appreciate that it is essential for growth processes to feel pain. 164. Stop talking about the situation and deal with the true issue. 165. Don't dictate actions that could be done in the blind aloud, instead delegate to subordinates effectively and preserve self. Your presence will be felt. 166. Everybody is not meant to do everything. Just because you don't excel when someone tells you to, or where someone wants you to, doesn't mean you are a failure. Readjust your timing and you will be fine. 167. Don't beat yourself up for failing someone else's expectations, you were not born to appease a soul. 168. Nothing is forgotten, everything is given in due time, so do your due diligence and be present. 169. Having faith in me. Believing in me, not just believing. Having faith in who I am, not what I can be. Check in or check out. 170. You can't show me appreciation when assuming who I am. 171. When one wakes up, realize that pleasure should be sought. First, before everything, acknowledgement and thanks should be had. 172. What you say is who you are and what you think is what you do. What you see is your outlook. Then again what you feel is your world and it's all true. 173. Ponder on what has the ability to change, attempt to influence movement not change. In this process you'll find the progress is not so hard. Because everything moves very little changes. 174. Swift like the ocean life moves consistently with great balance. It's only when one runs against the tide that life is deemed difficult. 175. Deflect the things that pump the ego, embrace the things that are not easily implied. Your roads may start off bumpy as with most things. No true clarity will be had. 176. Regardless of how intoxicated your heart, head and gut always work in your favor. The question is what are you doing? 177. There is no drug that will mend a broken heart, no sedative that will calm the soul. Be aware every drug is taken to numb something, not cure it. 178. You know when you've made your point and you talk after that? Don't do that. 179. Listen to your body, it's the only one you get. Besides, the less you listen the more you lose. 180. Sticks and stone may break your bones and all chronic conditions will kill you. 181. We were not put on this earth to just be one thing, so be all that you are. It's only in this action that fulfillment is accomplished. 182. Home is more than where your heart should be, it's your humble abode. So treat it as such. So when the world has tried its hand at you, you know what you do it for. 183. Regardless of the world views, don't change who you are for it. This world has a tendency of appreciating people after they are dead, and ridiculing them when they are alive. 184. The brain is one of the most attractive things known to me, everyone has one. Please use it at all times. 185. Worlds around you may look familiar to you. Don't be fooled, do yourself a favor and don't assume theirs and stick to yours. 186. Work ethics are sometimes misunderstood, be sure you do what you love to do. You'll find the only ethics to be your own. 187. Resilience is only important when it's in your favor it seems, note. When resilience is not in your favor persistence is. 188. Faith and fear run hand in hand, be sure to be clear with self when it comes to these terms. Faith is not only for when things are going good and fear is not only for the actions taken too late. 189. The mind is a terrible thing to waste they say. What they don't tell you is that it's one's own mouth that kills the thought process. 190. When entering a world that does not belong to you, remember, you are a visitor and you must respect the laws of that land. This includes other people's spaces. 191. Take nothing for granted, most everything is a gift, and when it goes, if it goes, give thanks for the experience and move on. 192. Change comes to those who waits for the proper opportunity, not for a miracle. 193. Simple complexity is everywhere you look, it's only one's thinking that makes something simple or complex. 194. In my memories I find beauty, ugliness only comes when I attempt to relive perfection that I had already experienced. 195. Beyond proper balance justice must be forced, because otherwise the issues will never be assumed bad enough. 196. During times of adversity one must realize it's only when you're ready to quit that you are at your strongest discipline to continue. 197. The media portrays you in a light that is not yours with its symbolic figures and sayings. It's your purpose to shine through that wall. It's nothing shy of pure authenticity. This is not an option, it's obligation. 198. It's only when your thought process is skewed that the dream is no longer attainable. 199. If you remember nothing else remember this, passion is the only feeling that is not taught. It's found, it's not forgotten and it's not forced. 200. Fear is celebrated far more than love is and hate is more understood than compassion. So if you choose to run with the masses, make sure your skin is thick enough. 201. Don't neglect your downsides, study them, because within them there is strength. 202. If you treat others like they should know better, don't be mad when they assume about you. 203. Comprehend the basic reason behind why one does what they do is reasonable, but to justify something through assumption is a losing battle. 204. Few times is there a reason for a lack of better words because to be truly understood fewer words are used. 205. What you eat now is a small glimpse of what type of elder one will be in my opinion. So when you eat next time, ask yourself what are the long-term effects on that type of substance. 206. Beauty comes in many forms of gray area, one thing is always for certain. Your heart's explanations. 207. Work speaks for itself when it comes to due diligence, effort put forth towards elevating the standards of one's thinking versus one's productivity. 208. Throughout life tasks are completed off the job, it's my experience that shows me that when I'm not at work the true skills are gained. Work is just the maintenance portion. 209. Seldom times I find people mourning the loss before it's gone. Anticipating madness amongst the calm. It's my belief hope is not necessary when these traits are eliminated completely. 210. Nothing is forced, it's only what you choose to do. Complaining is also an option, although making a conscious decision to do only what is necessary for oneself without pretenses or regrets is my true meaning of control. 211. It's not love that is funny, it's the people who use it. 212. Don't love someone with stipulations or facades. To love someone, is to love someone's entire person and feed all that is them with all that is you. 213. Some see optimism as a sickness or abundance of flight and thought. My truth tells me without optimism, zest, thrill, and pure passion all feeling is non-existent. 214. Watching the world can be a daunting task alone. It's only when you become one with it that you see all of yourself and all that it has to bestow. 215. Throughout life millions of situations will cross your path and I can promise when one wears a smile 75% of it won't be so bad. 216. Though the one who loves us most can't be where we need them to be at all times, you must believe beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's their absence that makes you who you are and without separation the heart won't grow stronger. 217. Regardless of how important you think you are, it's the company that you keep that make you in the eyes of the public. 218. Depression is a cancer, dwelling on situation that we can't change. It does not matter how many times you press the replay button in your head, one thing that will change for certain is your blessings. They will still come, you will be the only one who will not be able to see them. 219. You may have to walk through tough situations to be who you are in the world. Never do you have to prove anything to yourself outside of why you do it. 220. If I would, which I could, what would you do then? Probably the same thing you are doing now. Just for different reasons. 221. Nobody is all of one thing, so to take them as such is setting oneself up for failures. 222. To want to be something is most admirable, yet to assume a position that doesn't belong to you is deceit and usually short-lived. 223. When buying gifts for someone, it would be best to know who they are. Otherwise on holidays strangers get together for disappointments and shortcomings. 224. When introducing yourself to someone, be sure to play the games for a short period of time. Otherwise you become the entertainment and no substance is ascertained. 225. True, there are times meant for light more enjoyable activities in life. And to use one's body like a toy be it in sex or substance you'll find as time goes on, your temple, the body, holds less and less value to you. 226. It's not necessary to involve yourself in all that others are to be accepted. It is only in your oneness that others will flock to you. 227. Perfection is sought through all that we do because we are artists by nature. Note: no, an artist's piece is never truly done and the work is never over. Perfection comes when no more can be done by that particular artist. 228. When you know someone, truly know them, the gifting process is praised. I recall being elated over a box of self-tapping screws and a ruler. 229. Sometimes we find ourselves in a place that we cannot leave immediately, so we must first change our state of mind. Then our worlds will evolve until situations evolve. 230. Don't seek acceptance in the matters of the heart, love self and acceptance will follow. 231. Don't try to change. Evolve. For you are yourself in all lights. Instead comprehend the basis and the processes of evolution, knowing that nothing stays the same. 232. Notice, the only time one realizes that reality is brilliant is when one has been away from it for far too long. 233. There are so many predetermined boxes for society to put you in to gauge you against the world. In getting to know oneself you'll find that not one of these boxes will personify you to a T. 234. When looking at the world as a bunch of tasks, to be completed, life is a chore. When starting just to start, life is living. Nothing more, nothing less. 235. Something is skewed in the way we think of the world, somehow morality instead of intention is shunned upon in the basis of reasoning. 236. When it comes to people I find a common divide, detail-oriented versus context-based. The question is, do they coincide? 237. Individuality, connectivity, self-reliance, and expression all rely on input, yet when communicated it is barely understood. 238. Most of the time when diagnosed, the evaluation is very late in comparison to one's knowledge of the problem, be it physical or mental. 239. Both mental and physical health can only be maintained, not cured or fixed. 240. All is not lost just because you don't see what you are looking for at the moment. Usually when you are about to quit it shows itself. 241. Just because something's attractive to one's sight doesn't mean that it's for one person. Identify. What about that is so attractive? Then identify with the purpose for it in one's life. 242. For whatever reason people feel it necessary to push their weight around only to find a headache at the end of their endeavors. 243. Too often people speak to the stereotype of a person instead of to their intellect or makeup of the person. Be sure before you speak you are thinking of who you are talking to. 244. Jobs are meant to be worked, not lived. So when at work, work. When you leave, get a hobby. 245. Patience is tried, it's true. Let it be known it's up to you to let your patience be lost or gained. 246. To jeopardize one's freedom some things must be known. And most often if one's thought processes are altered one's feelings are more fact than the facts themselves. 247. Though beauty is not just skin deep, one must realize anyone can be naked or shallow, it's what you do then that makes the unit what it is. 248. When one finds that he must, he does reluctantly. When one knows freedom he finds his replacement. 249. Elegance is found in one's being, as a feeling of excellence or prestige. A knowledge of sorts. Only to be experienced again in the recognition of the past beauty and present light. 250. Seldom times I find when thinking too far into it, the blessings become a curse. If it feels right do it, if it doesn't don't. 251. If is the beginning of a wish statement, but is a deviation from everything previously mentioned, trying is not inaction. During the thought process eliminate these words and see if you're saying the same thing. Your word may actually hold diction. 252. Usually when one is masking something they are the only ones that are not in the loop. A snake in plain sight will always be seen. 253. When one takes responsibility for something their tasks are not done until it's all over. When one's intentions are not clear misdirection and neglect tend to follow. 254. Uniformity synchronizes in larger groups, which means people will do as others do within the confines that set them apart. At the same time it is also clear that those confines restrict natural growth causing confusion, alienation, and rebellious activity. 255. Magnificence is all around you, notice it or not. So open your eyes, open your ears, breathe and take in a moment. 256. Think to yourself and show, and so shall it be done, so they say. Just contemplate on its foundation before step 1. 257. When longing for something or someone, presence cannot be appreciated, instead ponder on an action to change the situation. 258. Appearance is important and what you bring to the table is essential and who you are is everything. 259. People will call you everything under the sun, your only responsibility should be if your birth name was used in reference to you. 260. True, one's look personifies who they are in a sense. It's one's delivery that will be remembered. 261. Good, bad, right, or wrong. One's success is judged on one's completion, not on delivery, skill level or tact. 262. Compassion is a beautiful trait, not to be taken lightly. Please appreciate that compassion can cause far more injury than hate. 263. Like a home, our brains have doors and windows too. Along with a foundation, regardless of what you do to your brain, remnants will remain, to be put back together if you so choose. 264. Obligation can be forced and most times is. But when you plan ahead and finish before the obligation is a task, the obligation themselves disappear before your very eyes altogether. 265. When you want to persuade a group of people into something you believe in, pay for it. Pay in time, money, and influences. 266. When you want people to see you for who you really are, don't do what you don't want to do. Don't respond to names that aren't yours and don't settle for anything at all. Ever. 267. When listening to others, listen to the facts, not the opinions. Opinions are meant to be felt, not understood. When feelings get involved, I found that conflicting conversations soon followed. 268. Love has a way of concurring every fact known to humankind, so when love is involved, be ready for the emotional roller coaster that comes along with it. 269. So many things have been proclaimed to be original that are just a fad, just like the genes in your blood. You don't have to be what your family is just because you were born into that bloodline. 270. When you think love has taken your voice and emotion has taken advantage of you, fall back, breathe, and move with necessity, not urgency. 271. Every day there is something to be learned, more so something to be remembered. Each day bears gifts in its presence in comparison to its harvesting thoughts of its past that has not arrived yet. 272. The one thing that will never change is what you've said. So mean it because once it comes out of your mouth it will forever be true. 273. Just because something is good doesn't necessarily mean that it is for you, even if everything about it is correct. 274. When you do something, make sure to know all the possible end results. Comprehend that intention and purpose don't always go hand in hand. 275. Success can be had in so many ways, the most important one is the success you experience alone for yourself. 276. Sheer brilliance happens naturally, it's not forced or swayed to perfection. It simply is. 277. Selflessness is a noble trait often mistaken for being naive, so be careful and set both standards and limits, for there is no need for change here, just protection. 278. Facts don't kill people, emotions do. So know the difference. 279. If something is born into a different state, adversity will follow. With that, strength and character are born. 280. Don't look for tomorrow to be your new start or a date to be your changing point. As soon as the thought comes to you, actions should follow shortly thereafter. 281. You have to know that you're amazing, no one can teach you that. And with it, amazing things will show themselves. 282. Reasons are excuses in the matters of success, although reasons are important to grow, in light of success it's irrelevant. 283. We've created so many ways to express ourselves and so many ways to protect ourselves. Let's perfect how to love ourselves as we are. 284. Like textured paper, life has its processes. Throughout life things and nicks happen. With that so does a wealth of knowledge and wisdom. A priceless art. 285. If you don't like riffraffs, take away their reasoning by find the root issues and replacing it with common comforts, and ill will in fact go down. 286. Waiting for someone to be interested in a creation of yours is asking for heartache. You should be proud of your work regardless of applause. Besides, people believe in the story behind the works and its presentation more than the artist themselves. 287. If passion had an explanation, it would be the sound of music. If the music had eyes, it would be you. 288. There are plenty of isms, ologies, and others to describe the ways of the world. There is only one way to experience it. 289. Out of all the senses one is given to navigate through trials and tribulations of one's life, common sense seems to be the most popular and underappreciated. 290. I choose to use passion to express the profound loves with all that I know to be true. Yet and still I find a loss of expression when it comes to my true love's reciprocation. Devotion, all. 291. Just in case is a whimsical slippery slope to use when expressing one's confidence in others. So just in case. 292. I find in most cases people's hand, eyes, and neck say far more than anything that could come from their mouth. 293. To focus is great, yet to forget what you are doing it for is another story. Maintain your role and don't get lost in its monotony, for you were born to do more than just that. 294. Active listening means listening, and not waiting to talk. 295. If one finds injustice in all that is done, one has missed the point, because they did not take into account their own actions or lack thereof. 296. Replacing oneself in all tasks that are unnecessary works, make sure the persons replacing you are just as capable. 297. Being responsible for others require a certain level of discipline. Being respectful while being responsible show true character. 298. When it comes to productivity and prosperity, one must put oneself on pause until the pace of the day has slowed. 299. Balance is the key when walking around the world. For whatever you give off will come back to you tenfold. And if you are waiting for it, one's day will grow longer indeed. 300. Out of all the ideas one comes up with, few are used. It's this slackness in response that causes misery, so when something comes up, let it out, you will then learn to earn. 301. One is entitled to an opinion, let it be known that if one hears the opinions as fact, confrontation may brew. If one takes in the opinion and agrees or disagrees, leaving it at that, communication can progress. 302. In life, one of the worst things that could be done is mourn the living before they are dead. How can one miss something or someone if one still obtains it? 303. People are imperfect, beautifully built flawed machines, appreciated for their upsides and outsides, pressured and taunted for their downsides and insides. 304. In this day and age there is a medicine for every ailment but one, a broken heart. So make it a goal to protect the only emotional organ that helps love. 305. The brain stores most everything, yet when one is emotional this is completely useless. 306. There is very little on this earth that makes one want to part with it. So do the world a favor and stop complaining. 307. Change comes from within, then it is spoken into existence. So if everyone around you is talking about it, ask yourself when the action will start. 308. Problems are inevitable, they are everywhere you go. To say one is leaving a problem is a lie. One still carries baggage with them. It's only when you evolve in the mental position that something will give. 309. In relationships, give and take scenarios transpire. Know that everyone you give yourself to takes with them a part of you in return. 310. There are plenty of ways to show interest, Be sure that your interest is in respect to who you are and not taken away from what else you may want. For no interest is bigger than its owner. 311. Though one may be strong in stature, true strength is seen only in one's endurance and resilience. 312. One's expression is always reviewed and judged. Remind self from time to time that if you planted it, it's right. 313. When you believe in something, you may be your only cheerleader. Don't depend on an audience. Confide in self-knowledge. 314. A leader has followers. That leader once followed. When popularity is involved, know that it may be the hype that they are following, not necessarily you. 315. It's been my experience, when people do something, it's done objectively and the emotions follow later. To take something personally first, be it good or bad, sets one on a false path. 316. Friends, every one of them has a role in one's life. They don't necessarily have to befriend all your other friends. They like you, leave it at that. Simplify. 317. Everyone on earth is used for one reason or another. Stop feeling used up. Instead, ask as if you are being used correctly. 318. In relationships you involve yourself in, whether it is business or personal, make sure the other party has something at stake. Something to lose. It's the ones with nothing to lose that you will find little gain. 319. When bartering or negotiating, make sure one doesn't seem too anxious. It makes one look desperate or crooked. If something is meant to be yours, it will be. 320. When going through your issues in life, be sure it is in line with all of your other priorities. 321. Ethics can be interesting when it comes to how one judges it, like a code against itself, seen as no one is the same. 322. I love helping people more than the people themselves. They tend to disappoint before I can adore them. 323. My words are not meant to be understood per se, more so expounded upon to further one's foundation or base of thought. 324. Physical chemistries can tantalize the strongest of personalities, although body parts speak volumes. Let one's verbal intent speak first. 325. Don't trust anyone to help you do what's important to or for you. Just like no one is responsible for your happiness, no one has that power. 326. You can guarantee that people will let you down. It's up to you the levels in which one can travel down your roads. 327. In a sense, the world is as balanced as it can be. It's only in our sights that the world is skewed. Because everything must have its equal opposite to exist. 328. Throughout life one will witness cycles of all types. It's in these cycles you will find struggle and comfort. Only when one grows irritated or tired the cycle comes to an end. 329. I find that in courting a deal it is mostly based on appearances, assumptions, and show. The only way one can mess it up is to open one's mouth and say something stupid. 330. To get in one's good graces you must first conquer one's comforts. 331. Actions will always legitimize one's statements, yet one's words will never do the job by themselves. 332. Space, cemetery, light, balance, texture, and depth create my existence in art, but it does not make me at all. 333. Art is to be appreciated, not necessarily understood. If you like it, that's great, if not, whatever. Art is not meant to be judged. Ever. 334. The world is as big as you make it. Although the world is the proper size, know that there is a bigger one to be a part of. 335. When you show someone your omissions you put the power in their hands to criticize and take advantage. 336. When in doubt be quiet, less is always more in this situation. 337. Prison can be found in the depths of one's mind, once they have pondered for far too long. Captivity can be found in one's heart, holding both good and bad memories that make up the present time. 338. A giggle, a smirk, a smile, are all nice gestures. Please don't fall into habit of replacing smiles and gestures as communication. Assumptions are contagious. 339. Bad habits are not fun unless you are happy. Don't let one's bad habits be okay for now. Once bad always get worse. 340. Importance is a personal opinion. Instead of assuming everyone agrees, discuss your points of interest and their urgencies. 341. People will go to great lengths to be happy once they have found it. Sometimes their happiness may get in your way. It's at this point you weigh your options. Whose happiness is more important? Are you willing to live without that person? 342. Don't get angry when people show you who they are. Get beyond that point to figure out how you can project your point and keep your calm. 343. No one was put here to make anybody else's life more difficult, even though that may be the case. Withdraw the emotions and do what you were put there to do. If you don't fit, leave. 344. It sounds nice to think that our parents and families were put here just for us, when in fact everyone was put here for their own purpose. Reason if you will. If they help you, great. If not, get what you need elsewhere. You still have an obligation. 345. Don't borrow. If you must borrow, have what you are borrowing already just in case something goes wrong. Hence, borrow before the emergency. 346. Tempers can flare high when one is out of one's comfort zone. Focus on what one can control and adjust one's behavior. 347. If one perfects the style in which one is most comfortable, it's almost a promise that effectiveness and productivity are high. 348. One's body is the temple. This includes but not restricted to one's mind and one's way of life. So the ways one lives, thinks, and communicates are all one. 349. Productivity is one of my favorite traits, so don't be mad if I don't bother with you anymore. It's not that I dislike you, it's just you don't fit in my world. 350. Don't expect anyone to move at your pace with the things you enjoy, and don't hold it against them either. 351. When I find that I'm irritated at one's actions, it's imperative that I find something else to do. 352. If you live, think and breathe something, nothing should stop you from doing it in one way or another. If you can still think about it, there is something that could be done. 353. Under no circumstance should you stop going after what you want. Prior engagements need not take a back seat. Rather a passenger seat. 354. Circumstances should hold words no power over your situation. If they do, rethink your responsibilities, then prioritize until your life once again make good sense. 355. In life it is essential to have one's passions and comforts nearby at all times. Be it big or small, it will get you through the hardest of times. 356. Students of life, that's what we are. Although we are still learning, know that you are being watched as teacher as well. 357. There are several degrees of separation, and it's one's reality that brings us back together. 358. You were born with inspiration and charisma. When struggle and confusion is introduced itself, you invited it in with open arms. Remember, the inspiration and charisma never did leave. Just reevaluate. 359. Time and time again mistakes will be made, it in your response that growth is shown. 360. Labels and name tags tell others who you are by name, it's up to you to show them how to treat you. 361. When gifts and awards are given, they are not to be taken to heart. For when you are not rewarded or appreciated, you will remain the same person. 362. When something is blown out of proportion, keep your mind about you. It's the only fact-based thing you will ever own. 363. They say the quickest way to a man's heart is through his stomach, and the quickest way to a woman's heart is with jewelry. To be more precise, it sounds like the quickest way one's soul is entertaining comforts through security and quenching one's desires in love. 364. As transparent as love strings may be, they are ever so evident. So much so you think you lose your way, just to be pleasantly enlightened that you are exactly where you belong. In love. 365. Throughout life we wish we could have said all that needed to be said. I don't know if I'm early or late, you've read this far knowing that you are appreciated and loved. And you will be what you are, brilliantly. 366. Leap year. Sometimes in life one separates from the ones they love to protect them. Just know, out of sight does not mean out of mind. Just as there is pain there is love, and with hatred comes healing. If one must separate one must still communicate through the silences. It's only when communications stop that it is all over. So keep talking until clarity breaches uncertainty. Be well. Coming soon. In Braille and audio. English, German, Mandarin, Chinese, Spanish, French, Vietnamese, Farsi, Portuguese, Dutch, Russian, Swahili. Hayek Book Collection. Trinity eBooks. Thank you for listening. Be well. And come again.